topic of it is digital transformation of states for effective governance through emerging technologies. And the moderator for this session is Mr. Amit Singh, Executive Director, Deloitte, India. So please, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Amit Singh? And the speakers on this panel discussion, we have Mr. Nitin Kumar Yadav, IAS Secretary, Department of Information Technology Administration of Chandigarh. Ladies and gentlemen, I think so we should create some space in our food by clapping and everything before we really move ahead for lunch as well, post that. And up next we have Mr. G.S. Naveen Kumar, IAS, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Can we please have a huge round of applause, everyone? Mr. Sanyam Aggarwal, IAS, Deputy Commissioner, Malerkotla, Punjab. Dr. Owais Ahmad, IAS Deputy Commissioner, Bandipora, UT of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. S. Arunraj, IAS Executive Director, Electronics Corporation of Tamil Nadu Limited, Government of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Vivek Sharma, Head State eGovernance Mission Team, Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Yashpal Soni, Head State eGovernance Mission Team, Rajasthan. Mr. Gopikrishna Choudhury, Senior Account Manager, Red Hat. So they are our brilliant minds once again. And yes, we have one more esteemed guest up here, Mr. Divyang Singh, IAS Chief Executive Officer, Indore Smart City Limited. So can we please have you here on stage with us, sir? Mr. Divyang Singh, IAS Chief Executive Officer, Indore Smart City Limited. So that completes our panel list, and once again over to our moderator, Mr. Amit Singh. And ladies and gentlemen, please, aap sabki taaliyon ke beech, once again welcoming all our esteemed guests up here on the panel list. Can we please have a huge round of applause? Come on, everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, I think Satish mentioned that he was between your lunch, but wasn't a Satish, it was us actually. And so we will try and be sharp. I mean, given the, I think, audacity in terms of people are already moving out. So what we intend to do in terms of, in this particular session, we'll focus on the use of emerging tech. Like, since morning what we have heard, while on the one side we are talking about, the central initiative, we are talking about becoming a product nation. And then we also heard a contrary view from the previous panel that while these buzzwords are fine, however, we still have, long way to go, because the basic technologies also have to be implemented, and before we could aim for a right, set of emerging tech. And if I also share my views, in terms of every maybe week or in a fortnight, I do meet a client who wants to get into emerging tech, whether it's IoT, blockchain, AI, ML. However, I do see that the understanding of, those emerging technology is not up to same like what it is in terms of, whether what they want to achieve. In some sense, yes, it is becoming a buzzword also. But in other sense also that I think what we need to see that we can't also keep our doors shut and wait for something to happen. So in that, I'll not take much of a time in terms of, talking about this thing, my views. I'll quickly go on to, my esteemed panelist. And so the kind of group we have is a very interesting group. We have administrators who are driving IT from state to city, to smart cities. We have agency representation, which is responsible for implementing some of those things. We have enablers like SEMT who play very, very critical role in the state for doing some of those things. And we also have industry representation from Red Hat. So I will start with the host, Shri Nitin Yadav ji. So, like, in the morning you also, mentioned about what government of India can do in terms of, creating a center of excellence and other things. Now, I just want to understand your experience as an administrator in terms of what states can do or what they have done in terms of adopting these emerging technologies. And also talk about the challenges, which you see, because obviously, even the first level of automation, we are still struggling, right? In some sense, though we have digitized, but we are struggling also. So just share your views around that.
Thank you very much. So to put these things in perspective, we must understand the history. So the history starts with the point that we used to have, individual initiatives being taken along with the state, the IT field of NIC. And individual districts will take some initiatives and there will be some demand from some services. We had this electronic boom with the mobiles coming in and suddenly you had access of data with everyone. So, and the scenario also changed with the fast communication systems, the expectation of the citizen also drastically increased. So it is natural that the government had to deliver, and IT was one of the good field through which one could deliver the services at the doorsteps of the citizen. Now, the problem here is that we are again doing a catch-up game, and it is the private sector, especially led by the consumer sector, which is basically driving these techs. Now, if you look at artificial intelligence or machine learning, today even it is basically companies like Amazon, Facebook, and others who are getting this analytics done. And the big data analytics part also is being done onto consumer behaviorism and everything. Now, the challenge for us would be how do we adapt or adapt these technologies, emerging technologies, into our system. Now, to give an idea, we already have the ICCC's, the smart as part of smart cities, which have been developed in almost 200 smart cities, which have been taken up by Ministry of Urban and Housing. Now, if you see those, it was initially hardware vendors driven. So you had various cloud manufacturers and server manufacturers, camera manufacturers who were into this field, and no doubt for specific applications they developed a good infrastructure. But the point is that we are yet not fully utilizing the capacity that these infrastructures can give us. So the moment you realize that, see, you have a basic infrastructure which can be expanded. So if you have 1,000 cameras, you can have 500 more. But the basic brain behind it, which essentially captures or processes image, gives us some input. For example, if you have abandoned suitcase lying in the bus stand, it would detect that there is an object which has not been touched or moved for some time. So it gives alerts. There are various other similar image-based technologies, face recognition systems and all, which are sitting at the back end. Now, only for the purpose of traffic. So if it is, why can't it be used, say, for example, to be used by individual private organizations for their own security systems, or government systems, for example, or as I mentioned in the morning, I happened to be reviewing RBI security committee, and all the banks had this problem that we don't have the system to auto detect where our system, cash delivery is happening, high security risk areas, how do they monitor it? So they just need to install cameras, and then the back-end AI will detect everything. You don't have to reinvest again and again. Not every bank has to invest into these technologies. So what happens is, again, as far as application, one is identification of problem. So the problem statement in the sense that you need security, but then you are looking at the old solutions. You put in police, you have these people watching it. So all the same kind of solutions are being looked in by individuals. But if you have like forum like these and other, so you have consumers and you have technology providers brought in, you give him that these are the basic solutions that we have, then how can it be scaled up? And then you can have a cost sharing mechanism. It gives, so for example, if I take this example itself of face recognition for security. Now, not individual hotels, every hotel, every bank, every institution which wants security need not invest into the same solutions again and again. What can be done is the smart city can develop or scale these models for them, have a profit sharing or cost sharing with these things, and on the back end have these excellence, center of excellence and companies which are working on AI to propose solutions for them. Now immediately your city goes at the next level of emerging technology, wherein both private sector and the government sector can benefit from advanced AI-based security systems for the entire thing. And it is secure, you can have all security issues, everything taken care at the ICCC. So this is one example. Similar thing would come in, as I mentioned in the morning, that 5G rollout would be happening. Immediately you will see, whether you want it or you don't want it, IoT devices coming in, which will be, your car will be speaking to another car. You will have all these, now the manufacturers are coming with internet-enabled vehicles. So like Apple is coming with its own vehicle, Tesla. Now Tesla is a computer based on a car. It's not a car which has some IT-enabled systems. So it is, the whole thinking will change the moment these 5G networks will roll out. Are we prepared for it? And are we looking at it? Or would it be just driven by few companies, consumers-based companies? So can we have safety issues, transport management issues, something which is more holistic, also built in initially? So I think we need to build these platforms or center of excellences, which looks at highly scalable, easy to implement kind of technologies as starters, and maybe we can evolve further from that. So this is my experiences. Thank you very much.
So since you talked about this image analytics in the previous session, you talked about IoT, you talked about sensors. So let me also try and move to a connected panelist. So we have Divyang ji from Indore Smart City. So because I just would request you also to share your views in terms of how you are utilizing some of these technologies and data which you would have set up as a part of Smart City. So whether can we use some of those systems and data for doing better AI?
Thank you. Thank you and respected panelists, and thank you for listening us. As far as Indore Smart City is concerned, as sir has rightly mentioned, we have infrastructural setups which are up and running. We have an ICCC, which is the central brain of all the digital interventions that we have made in the city. But so far we have not reached the potential that we need to in terms of ICCC setup and in terms of integration of all the technologies that we have. But what we have done, we have started in a big way. Like Indore has already established itself in the field of Swachhta. We are the cleanest city, and for the 6th straight years we are, and we are hoping that this year also will maintain the title. So we have utilized the ICCC and we have utilized the information technology in a way which can help us in the proceed of this aim. Like we have automated vehicle tracking system, in which all the vehicles, the garbage collecting, tipping vehicles are GPS enabled, and in the ICCC center we can actually see where the garbage collecting vehicle is going, to the point that we can actually have, if a particular route is being marked and they are not going and following it, and they are off the time limits of more than 5 minutes or 6 minutes, they'll immediately get an alert. At the same time, from our control room, they will get a call that what is the reason that the particular garbage vehicle is not going forward. All the slurry, I'm just giving an example how one particular aim that government has or the city administration has in mind is actually forced or is actually helped by the IT solutions and the integrated technologies that we have. At the same time, all the slurry that is being taken out has an SCADA system with which we already have the total outflow of the slurry that directly goes to the STPs that we have. And at the same time, it's very important to know that only technology is not the answer, it is the tool. And much outcome from the technology can be taken if more and more public participation is there. So we have this Indore 311 app, which is there, which has already been utilized by more than 7 lakh people. 7 lakh Indoreans. It's an app specifically and locally made for Indore, in which Indore Municipal Corporation is providing 36 different services. And it is up and running. A very good example of direct public participation is we have more than 1,700 traffic volunteers that can directly register themselves through this app. And they actually go and stand at the traffic junction, control the traffic, people support them, and they can directly go and register themselves through this app. We recently had an opportunity to host Pravasi Bharati Divas, in which we had more than 3,000 NRIs who have flown in. And we had a tremendous support of public participation through these traffic myths that we have. Another example of how technology is directly incorporating people into what we have envisaged for the city is today only Indore Municipal Corporation has opened its first ever public issue of green bonds. We will be the first municipal corporation in the India to go for public opening for green bonds. And we are expected to generate 244 CR through public placement. Anybody, any investor can go ahead and then put money in the green bond of Indore. And we took help of this Indore 311 app and digital platforms all over the world. And we are happy and proud to share that within 4 hours of our opening, we've already oversubscribed and have a public contribution of more than 400 CR. Into direct green bonds of Indore Municipal Corporation. So that's the beauty, that's the power of how technology, when combined with public participation, is giving us such a tremendous outcome as a city and as a public participation in general. At the same time, there's a lot to be done. We are in the process of integrated traffic management, in which, as esteemed panelists were telling, that multiple new technologies, automatic detection of number plates, automatic detection of face, and how to incorporate it with the assets that we already have. Another, just to add upon it, because I know time is limited, as we have a surveillance policy in place, we have integrated traffic management system, but at the same time we wanted more and more CCTV cameras. So we are incorporating the private CCTV cameras and the commercial CCTV cameras which are already there in the city to be incorporated into our integrated traffic management system. And people are willing and more than happy to provide their feed. So a very balanced combination of public participation with very intelligent use of technology, and an integrated approach can actually lead us to a better and sustained and intelligent future. Thank you.
So thanks. So obviously you have done a lot in terms of all platforms being set, the basic level of automation place, so you can pick this up from and create a use cases for emerging tech. So I'll just have a similar question with Naveen ji. So for example, so one thing, when we talk about emerging tech, we always kind of, struggle with the use cases, right? Whether it's a blockchain, AI, ML, because there are always alternate solutions available for that. And generally, if I say, whenever I hear AI ML or ML AI. Ideally, it should be ML AI, but then we are saying AI ML, everybody. But we only talk about fraud prevention, no, the analytics and the kind of cases. So I don't hear much in terms of improving the services through AI ML. So your views, sir?
Thank you. See, when you look at what we have been, I think I wanted to add something what Nitin sir had just put in. I remember 10 years back, I was Special Secretary IT. What we saw and what we see is changed a lot. I think that's first thing we should see, that it has been very progressive. What we have all seen, probably what the Indore Municipal Commissioner is talking was unheard of. So that is something which is very, very progressive. I think that's from that positive note, we look at what we are doing at emerging technology. Forget emerging technology. What is the gap between technology and the person who is executing? You have a technology mind and then the person who is there as an administrative mind. This guy talks in Greek and the other talks in Latin. So where does this marriage of Greek and Latin happen is the question. If this marriage is done, I think some few people have an expertise in doing it, and those people who have an expertise in doing it is successful in rolling out projects. So that's the basic answer for everything. I think, be it technology, being it emerging technology or something. One of the challenges which we saw, and I'll put it a perspective, what we saw in digital health. I'll give a smaller solution, right? I cannot put, I was health secretary before when I came from AP. I can't put a cardiologist in every single place, tribal places, maybe there is a place called Paderu, which is about 4 hours from Vizag. So what do? I put a lab technician who can use a digital ECG machine, record that digital ECG on an application, AI ML application or ML AI application, and then the application will read those ECGs, and those ECGs will be picked, which has to be seen by a cardiologist. We can do all that false positive, false negative algorithm to put it right. So what you see is a solution which could be that what you call as an emerging technology solution. And n number of solutions can be developed. Again, what is the gap? The guy who is using it would not know there is a technology there. And there is a guy who has a technology will not know how to fit in there. In fact, I remember when we, I think I would pick up name, we used a robotic loop application way back, 3 years back in housing department to find, because I have about 3 million houses to be built. So all the, the incentives would go to them. I would not know whether it is a ghost account or it's a valid account or not. So every single time, what we do is we'll put 1 rupee and see whether that account is working or not. And imagine if the account is not working, it's a huge process. I have to tell the person on the ground to contact that person, to correct his account details. And this is a huge, it's a very big process to do it. So what we did is we used an RLA to read Aadhaar numbers, even passbooks. And it would match it. And if there is a correction, it would also correct it. By this way, I would actually could ensure that 80 crores of rupees was not locked. Imagine if 80 crores of rupees have been gone there, getting it back is also a headache for us. It's a huge administrative hassle to get the paperwork done. So these are smaller solutions. It looked very simple, right? It's just a one-day solution which you put in to read all that. But it could save at least, I think somebody was talking in the previous panel, how we can save so many man days. So one more thing which would come is that you would have a good technology. But where would that technology fit in is a question. How do you test that whether the technology would fit in is the proof of value. It's not the proof of concept. Everybody comes and talks about proof of concept. We'll establish and show you. How does your technology will provide value to what we are doing already? In case there was a system which we saw somewhere else, where to monitor a supply of about 800 crores, there was a system put to monitor it was 100 crores, which means that whatever leakages were there, that there was no value to it. I in fact would have suffered a loss of 100 crores to monitor it. So these are things which you should ask when you look at public money being spent. You should also look at value of public money. I think that's where the technologist, whoever is coming up about, should look at. you should look at what is your solution, how does it help. For example, my own solution which we are talking about is, maybe I would save on the doctor's cost there. Maybe I would save on the mobility cost. And I'll also create an efficient screening system in NCD care. These are the values we should build on to demonstrate the emerging technologies. That's my take on it.
Thanks. So, I think you brought out important point of people. I know whether it is a people who are executing and a people who are using that service as a ground. So maybe I'll move on to Dr. Ahmad, who's a deputy commissioner. So in terms of, you would have seen that obviously that whatever IT is being planned, that is G2C, G2B, reaching out to the people in district only. But still there were gaps, and that's why we had created these CSCs and other things, right, to have assisted services. Now we are talking about next level of emerging tech, right? So just share your views in terms of readiness, demand, aspirations of people in the district and your own experience.
Sure. Thank you, respected panelists and dignitaries. As far as G2C activities in districts are concerned, and also how e-governance and use of technology has improved delivery of services, there is no doubt in that. And in fact, things have improved a lot over a very short span of time, especially if we talk about the UT of Jammu and Kashmir and remote districts which are remote in a way of topography and distance from the central hub. And also because there are certain areas in our district, in many other districts also, which remain virtually cut off from rest of the district for 4 or 5 months because of heavy snowfall. So in areas like those where it is difficult to provide certain services, with the help of technology, many of the critical services are being provided. I'll just give an example. We have an area, Gurez, sir has been there. It is a small valley from Bandipora, and it remains cut for around 3-4 months due to heavy snowfall on that Rajasthan pass. So having a very efficient health system over there and having a specialist over there, it becomes a challenge. And last year, with the use of teleradiology and technology in healthcare, we were able to sort out, we were able to take care of many of critical cases which were then evacuated. We have regular chopper service subject to weather. So a decision can be taken which is helpful and also saves lives. Similarly, we are experimenting with, and it has been taken up very well with tele-ICUs that are coming up in our district. And then, as sir said, it has happened over a very short span of time, and we have a dual challenge. Number one is meeting up to the expectations, especially of the citizens who are used to very smooth apps, very smooth systems on their mobile, and meeting up to that expectation, making the processes more simpler, more smooth, and then also improving the already existing physical contact between the citizen and government, reducing it, and then introducing services, converting those services in digital platform, and then trying to deliver that service to citizen. It is to be done in very meticulous manner, so that it doesn't become another challenge for the person who is doing it, for the government servant. Many a times we have seen that a number of trainings are required for our government officers just to understand and take hold of the technology that is being introduced to them. So simplifying the processes for citizen also means simplifying the processes for the government business as well. So that is being looked into. And another important thing of G2C service delivery through CSCs and other things is that we get data from field of various services that is being delivered, and whether actually the schemes, the flagship programs, they are making any difference at the field level, and also what interventions can be done at specific areas, specific panchayat, specific block, just to improve indicators. So we at our district level had developed a Panchayat Developmental Index, Panchayat Development Index, PDI, which was looking after 6 indicators. It was health, skill, education, and other indicators, some 89 sub-indicators within those, which gives ranks to panchayats based on those indicators. And we are able to get which panchayat is lagging in under which indicator. And this initiative was also given the National E-Governance Award last year. And it is being replicated now in other districts as well. So we had those kind of data earlier also, but it was in physical form, and then it was not assimilated well, and we were not able to take an outcome out of that to that level, especially at panchayat level, at such ground level, and we were able to make interventions in our subsequent district plans by intervening, by giving more focus, by focusing more on certain panchayats, certain areas, certain departments. So of course, technology as such has made it better, has made it easier for government also to understand what kind of interventions are required, besides making service delivery better for citizens, and especially considering a district like Bandipora, or a place which is hilly and has connectivity and other issues, where service delivery can be better and efficiently done through use of technology.
Thanks. So, Arunraj, so in terms of so obviously we have been hearing about technology, and there is no denying that the technology is important and it has to be planned properly. Share your experience in terms of, because I'll stick to emerging tech while we can talk about general, but do share your views about uses of AI, plans of AI in state, because you being an implementation agency, how are you qualifying, how are you planning to implement?
Good afternoon to the respected panelists and dignitaries who attended this event, and all the esteemed visitors to this event. So it has been an interesting discussion so far. To specifically answer this question of whether technology can actually improve public service delivery, and whether artificial intelligence can add value, I would like to give a short case study. Something which I personally encountered, and then I will deliver my thesis, which is that if designed properly, if properly used, and if the design of the project is such, then definitely artificial intelligence and emerging technologies can add value. But if the design is not proper, then it will not add value. It will just be more of the same. To delve into the case study, so let me just start with this. So we were trying to develop software. We are trying to see for assessing how much compensation is to be given due to drought for different districts of a state. So we are trying to use AI to assess the damage, and so we designed a program. We asked the vendor to design a software for us to reduce human intervention, to reduce the intervention of government staff, to tell us properly that where the damage is and how much the damage is, whether and if damage is there. So the original software that was designed and given to us, so it was done using GIS mapping, and we had satellite data to help tell us where the damage was. So it gave us field-wise data, but the data that was given to us, it required another human intervention at a later stage. That is, we knew where the damage was, but then the system wasn't telling us automatically that the damage is so much here, there, and it required the intervention of a human again to tell us which fields actually required compensation. So we realized that this was not going to work, and then we changed and tweaked the system a little bit, where we used factors such as we saw in which field the water levels were very high, using GIS and using satellite data, and we saw the fields where the area cover, that is the green cover, was very less, and analyzing these two ratios. I'm telling it very simply for the sake of this audience, but using these two ratios, the system itself gave us where which fields required actually deserved good compensation and which fields did not. So to tell it, so this proves my point that if it is designed properly, artificial intelligence and advanced softwares, emerging technologies can and do help a lot in ensuring that leakages in the government system and public service delivery can be effectively improved. But if it is not designed properly, then it will not be. To give another example of what we did in the government of Tamil Nadu, so I am coming from ELCOT, which is the Electronics Corporation of Tamil Nadu, which actually is the main IT agency of government. So we worked with another software company to develop a software to detect the prevalence of cataract among the people of Tamil Nadu. So this was done along with the Tamil Nadu eGovernance Agency, which is a sister organization of the IT department of Tamil Nadu government. So it was developed because as cataract is prevalent, especially among older patients and among older people. So this software can be used by anyone. It's an app and it can be used by anyone in any remote area. And all it needs is just a photo to be taken by the app, and it gets sent to the relevant doctor. It gets sent to a good doctor, and then the system itself detects which patient actually needs help and intervention and outreach from the government and which patient does not need. So this is being actively used by our Tamil Nadu State Blinders Control Society, and this has actually helped a lot in helping us detect such cases and in helping people get access to good treatment, even if they are coming from areas where proper medical treatment and facilities may not be available. So I said both these case studies to supplement the point that definitely emerging technologies, definitely artificial intelligence, definitely these softwares do help in improving service delivery. But then it needs to be designed very well. The application and the use case needs to be very properly designed. You cannot just design something for the sake of designing. I mean, just for the sake of having something fancy. Some app or software need not be and should not be AI enabled. It should actually have add-on value, which kind of supplements the point Naveen sir had also told, that the value added should be really good. It should not be something that the cost of developing the software should not offset the value that is actually given. So, for example, these two interventions were very less. I mean, they were financially, the two interventions that I had talked about, financially they were very less value. But then the return on investment is immense. And the way it is used by the concerned departments, that is, the first one was used by the agriculture department, the second one was used by the health department. So by these two cases, I could see that these technologies are really department agnostic, which I mean to say is that IT is something which ranges across different sectors, which ranges across different departments. So it is not something limited to only the IT sector. So you need not have these technologies working only for the development of pure IT, core IT areas alone. So this is in fact one of the strongest held views of our government, which is in fact why we are trying to trying to conduct a big conference, in fact next month, which we titled as Imagine, and in which we try to showcase different technologies and which can be used across different sectors of government, like in agriculture, like in health, like in education. Education, in fact, our government is trying to actively use AI to help children learn better. So we are trying to design smart classrooms by which the tests are automated, the testing and evaluation is automated. It does not require the intervention of a teacher. So this of course helps, because when you have a teacher, of course you need a teacher. We have not reached the stage where the presence of teachers is not required at all. But then if some evaluations can be automated, so the prejudices which a teacher may have towards a particular student or a particular child is removed from the evaluation process. And so we have a system, we are trying to develop a system in the education department where the low performing students are automatically identified by the system, and it is informed to the superiors of the teacher or the management, school management, and then they can give more emphasis to that particular student or that particular child. So the point is that technology will definitely add value, provided it is very specific and targeted. Thank you.
Thank you for the elaborate answer. So we'll move on to Vivek Sharma, SEMT head Madhya Pradesh. So MP has been doing a lot, in terms of recent time, from chatbot to citizen service registry, so on and so forth. And in the previous session also, SEMT head Haryana kind of, described the role of SEMT. And I believe that SEMT is very, very important because the interface between government officials and industry, because somebody is needed in between to moderate also and kind of set the right expectations. And he also mentioned about, the fancy requirement of getting into emerging tech one should not get into. At times you might get a fancy requirement from your bosses, but you tend to moderate, right, whether it's required or not. So share your views in terms of, whether how you conceptualize these projects and shape them up, especially in the area of emerging tech and all, in your particular state.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to represent MP in this forum. So in Madhya Pradesh, actually the case is little different. Luckily, we got far better synergy in terms of ideation and then implementation. So like in the previous session, we heard about implementation of Parivar Pehchan Patra. So I would like to actually highlight that MP has implemented a similar system in 7-8 years back actually, which is called Samagra. Now, as we are talking about emerging technologies, now Samagra was done using traditional way and technologies. Recently, we have created a vision document for migrating this Samagra into single citizen database. So this particular initiative will leverage heavily on technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data analytics actually. The vision is actually moving from reactive governance to the proactive governance and providing citizen services in a proactive manner. So this is in process actually, but another concept and everything is conceptualized, and we will be, in coming 2-3 months, we will actually come up with single citizen database replacing Samagra system. This particular system actually, the key objective that we have envisaged, and we want to leverage technologies such as machine learning, big data analytics, in terms of reducing the leakage, identifying the eligible citizen or the candidates, so that the planned schemes benefit are delivered to the right candidate in a 100% manner. So as of now, what happens, we struggle with duplication of schemes, we struggle with duplication of beneficiaries, mismatching the criterias, and most of the time because of these issues, the focus deviates from actually delivering the benefit towards eliminating the ineligible candidates from the system. We put a lot of checks and balances, and because of which actual essence of those schemes diminishes and real benefits are not delivered. MP being one of the largest state in terms of demographic and population, enabling and making penetration of these such schemes to the last mile is really a big challenge actually, because these are very remote locations where the infrastructure is not there, connectivity is not there. So these are some challenges that MP is also having. So we do have some plans to mitigate those aspects in terms of collaborating in terms of PPP model, wherein we can collaborate, include people and from industry, from the society, and majorly the crowdsourcing of some of the activities which actually help us reach the last mile. So that is one. On AI ML, we also have actually MP means primarily a agriculture focused state, and we saw an opportunity in terms of actually primarily in MP we have got 2 crops, and every time there is a survey done by revenue officer in terms of what type of crops particularly sold in that particular region. Identification of those crops was done manually means Patwari used to visit or revenue inspector used to visit in the field. So we started 3 years back actually how we can leverage the GIS imagery and we automate this particular activity. So this will save in terms of resources, in terms of time, and then it will also improve the accuracy, because manual work always have some lacuna or some gaps. Sometimes people do not visit, they just call people and then they ask for, okay, kis khet mein kya aapne boya hua hai, all those things. So to eliminate all those things, what we did actually, we collaborated with BISAC and we started creating a model in our data center. And what we did, we actually start taking the imagery feed and started pixel analysis of that particular imagery, and we started matching it with the actual survey done by the officer. And using this we trained model, and then this model was trained over a period of 3 years. From this year onward, we will eliminate this manual survey and Girdavari process, and it will be purely done by GIS imagery and the system itself. To eliminate any gaps or any mismatch or improve the accuracy of the model, actually what we did, we also created a mobile app which farmer can access and confirm whether my prediction of crop is right or not actually. So he can give a feedback, and that's how the entire loop is getting closed, and it will overall achieve the 100% accuracy of the system. One more key initiative actually that I want to talk about, Alkesh sir was talking in the morning, is like digital governance and faceless. So MP has also adopted some initiative towards that also. We recently launched a cyber tehsil, wherein now people need not to visit any of the tehsil for the mutation of the land records. Now this all can be done sitting at his home using a mobile app actually, and it can be performed and request is submitted, and if it is not done within a particular time period, the system will automatically perform it, and then it will happen automatically. So these are some of the key initiatives that MP has done, and we will be coming up, we are in a process of creating some more technology enabled initiative which will automate most of the processes in terms of department. So we look, and we are also hosting a regional conference soon, so we look forward you joining that conference in the coming month in MP. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek. So I think exciting to know what all you are planning. So looking forward to. So moving on to Yashpal Soni ji. So similar questions, being a CMT head of Rajasthan, and without a doubt Rajasthan has done a lot of wonders in last few years. I can see personally, because being there, seen there, going up to village, and so certainly there are a lot of things Rajasthan has done, right? So share your views. Similar question perhaps, that how you interface. You have very, very strong bureaucracy, right, in terms of people who drive IT systems, have been driving IT systems for last decade or so. How do you plan, in terms of, execute some of those challenge systems, especially focusing on AI? Because I heard Rajasthan is planning for blockchain, right? I heard about the overall chatbot and other things, citizen integration. Just share your views.
So first of all, my greetings to the organizers, and thank you for inviting me on this panel. I personally believe that IT is the most useless thing as an IT professional, because if the clear-cut goals are not defined at the start of the project, if the objectives are not decided before, what is that actually you want to achieve from the implementation? I'll give you a very rudimentary example from the district, one of the district, and if you see the collector bungalow in any of the district, it is a palace. And in front of the bungalow, there's a huge lawn. So one day what happened was, the gate of the bungalow was open. So a couple of cows came inside, and they started churning out the grass. And suddenly the collector also came in, and he started shouting, why this gate was open, and what is happening? You guys are not taking care of this facility properly. It happened a couple of times. When he asked this question, when the collector said, give me a report. Now here comes, because the collector has asked for a report, the gentleman or the PS goes to the IT department. And he asked, collector साहब ने एक report मांगी है कि गाय ने कितनी घास खाई. So This report was created by using the infrastructure, by using the programming team, by using the application team, and this report was created. All of you must be facing the same problem across all the departments. Likewise, multiple types of reports are being created in most of the government departments without even anticipating what actually this report, whether it is going to add value to the implementation or to the project. Now coming back to the how and when, how and why of emerging technologies. As I said that in India we have come up from no phones to cell phones. So a lot of disruption has actually happened. And this disruption has happened very gradually. Every 2-3 years, we see a lot of disruption in terms of technology also. By the time the last implementation comes to a mature stage, something new comes and we are all flabbergasted and fascinated by the new technology, and we say that, okay, AI lagana hai, ML lagana hai, without even thinking that what actually we want to achieve. So I have 3 case studies to share with you. I am not very sure whether as a IT team, we could be able to attain the sustainable development goals of the state, but still we are going in that direction. The major problem was in the forest department. Now, forest department is such a department where you have less educated people, you don't have any fencing, you don't have any place where you get connectivity. And the problem was, probably a decade back, a couple of tigers could not be traced. So government took a decision that we need to enable it by using IT. So the first problem was getting a connectivity. So about 2.5 years back, the Rajasthan government, they have laid fiber across all the Sariska and Ranthambore. Those who have visited, probably now it is a Taki Ranthambore or a Taki Sariska wildlife sanctuary. So what we have done over there was, the major problem in this Ranthambore tiger reserves was, there was no fencing, so a lot of intrusions used to happen. People used to come, they take away the animals, and the skin of the animals was sold in the international market. It has a very high cost. Secondly, the tiger reserve was diminishing. So as a result of that, what we did was, we actually created multiple masts or towers across acres of land or unmanned land in Ranthambore. Now, the advantage of having all those multiple towers was, we enacted multiple optical sensors, optical cameras, and PTZ cameras. All these were connected to the solar-based PDUs. That means they need the power for that. So even those were connected. On top of that, what we did was, we used UAV vehicles also, that is sort of drones. And in the back end, we have written applications by using Python and small other AI-based interfaces. So whenever an intrusion happens, so somebody comes in the middle of the night, automatically the camera captures, it sends the intrusion to the local place where this is being monitored. If that is not being listened in a certain SLA, that is for 1 hour or 2 hours, automatically this goes to the central place, which is based in Jaipur, that is the command and control center, where actually the action is being initiated. The advantage of this was, they could be able to identify who is actually intruding, whether people are really taking away the masts which have been developed or which have been raised just to monitor this. So the theft problem was solved because of this. Second was, how do we know in a Ranthambore, which is actually in multiple acres of land, how do we know that how many tigers are there, how many deers are there, or how many human species are moving, or how many wild species are actually moving? So we used a pattern recognition and a combination of image analysis. We brought these two things together, and we did a lot of effort in actually catching or taking the pictures of the tigers. Now, taking a picture of tiger itself is a risky venture. So we took help of the rangers, and they took multiple pictures of these tigers from multiple angles, so that the image, the pattern recognition actually takes place. So whenever the camera, or that PTZ camera, or the thermal camera which is enacted at 35 meters of height, when they see, they immediately identify, yes, this is a tiger, this is a deer, this is a human. So this was the second advantage which actually came into being. The third was a lot of theft was there, so this theft automatically stopped. So to concise this, I just wanted to give you a story of Mahabharata. When Mahabharata was about to end and Krishna was about to leave to the heavenly abode, He asked all the Pandavas, you take any wish and I'll give you, because I even don't know when are we going to meet next. So he asked everyone, and Yudhishthir, everybody. So everybody asked for some wish. When this came to Kunti, she asked for the curses. And Krishna was very much disturbed by that since the entire life you have been in curses, and today also you are asking for curses. Kunti said one thing, that as long as curses are there in my life, I'll remember God. The same way, whenever the problems or the small problems or the small curses in IT is there, IT professionals will always be remembered, and they'll be able to solve this problem either by using the emerging language or by simple Excel also. I personally believe that simple Excel also plays a very vital role, and even if you put in AI solutions with a lot of investments, probably maybe for the fancy implementation or just by fulfilling the desire of implementation, we might lose a lot of money, but ultimately the end result may not be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you. So last but certainly interesting one, Gopi. So, I mean, you would have heard, right? There is a pride that government is developing application on its own, right? And then also highlighted that there are capacity challenges in government. And there are also, general thinking direction, I won't say all, but to move towards open source technologies in public sector because of fear of, lock-in of proprietary and all. Not everyone, but I'm saying some of them. And especially so when we talk about emerging tech, that becomes, perhaps the newer players appear to be, more proprietary that way. So, but again, that's a perception, as I say, because I'm not in or for that. I mean, there are always ways you can work. In the public sector should definitely work with both open source and industry. Share your views in terms of how Red Hat is seeing this emerging tech, given that, you are also kind of champion for this open source platform. What you see, opportunities and challenges.
Thank you, Amit. And thanks everyone, especially to the organizers, for giving us an opportunity to share our views. So first of all, let me tell, Red Hat is a world leader in open source technologies. Let it be related to the development of application, the first step, or let it be related to the automation, or let it be related to the AI. Now, most of the departments in government are having an application to run their processes, to run e-centric applications or e-citizens application, for example, e-municipality, e-district, a lot of things are there. Now, this phase is bit of going to get mature. Now comes the next phase. Now, I have an application with me. For example, I have a command and control application, right? Now, that is all working fine. Now, the next requirement comes, what we call in our language is use case. For that department is that, okay, I need to identify that what is that object? Is it a suitcase? Is it something else? How far, how long it has been happening? Staying there without movement. If some person is after 2 days carrying that, by taking a face recognition, whether that person is having a kind of any entry in terms of in CCTNS or other applications in their name. Similarly, for agriculture, a lot of use cases are coming up. Now comes the AI. So AI is something which is going to solve these use cases. Now, when an AI in terms, everybody thinks that, okay, it is an emerging technology, a lot of difficulties there, how to adapt, what are the strategy behind it, how to design. So let me tell you a very simple way, what is kind of an AI and whether it can integrate with a proprietary application which is developed in, for example, .NET or something else of the world. So now AI is very simple. Let's put it in this way. A department is having a requirement which needs analysis. Now you have a lot of data with you. Now what do you need to do? You need to cleanse that data. For example, in different formats are there, you need to cleanse it. You need to pipeline the data. You need to create a models, train that models. Models is something creating a data model and to get an output or to get what you're trying to get. If that model is not working, you have to retrain that model. So this is a kind of AI ML life cycle, simple way. Now you have achieved this. Now this needs to get implemented on the application which you are presently running. Now the application is not self-system that, okay, it can take this data. Now that you need to re-modernize that application on containers or something like that, which is a kind of a process. This itself will take you through a journey of achieving what you are trying to achieve, use case. So now the question comes that, okay, I have an application with me, which is an proprietary, and now you have, now the government is slowly moving towards open source. How can open source integrate with an intelligent application, or how can my application be intelligent? So this is where Red Hat plays a role, and or maybe other companies of open source plays a role, and they try, and nowadays all open source technologies are integrated with proprietary technologies. So in a way you can say that if there is any use case which needs to be solved through an AI, we can take a process or a kind of strategy to implement that. That will never be a kind of a roadblock to achieve or to kind of have a strategy to get the AI implemented.
Thanks, Gopi. So I think what we heard today in terms of few key takeaways. One, the technology is important. I mean, emerging can come later, but the technology is important. Get the base right, design it properly, so that you get the right rewards. In terms of, you know, the proprietary or open source, both options are open, so open source also works well. And a lot of experience in terms of, you know, the base systems, a lot of good work has been done, but then next level, how best we can leverage some of those investment and the data which is getting generated. So that's it from me. Any questions? Happy to answer, but would like to thank all my panelists for sharing their views.
So, since we do not have any questions from the audience, I think so. We are extremely grateful and thankful to our panelists up here who took out their precious time and to have this discussion. Can we please put our hands together for all our esteemed guests? And of course, for sharing their inputs on such important topic today with us. And now I would request Mr. Harish Rajput, Head Government Account Business Tally Prime, to please present mementos to our dignitaries and our guests up here on the stage. Can we have Mr. Harish Rajput on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, I know we are now going to be winding up for lunch. So मैं चाहती हूँ हम सब एक बारी जोरदार तालियों के साथ let's just thank our panelists up here. Now I request everyone to please come forward for a group photograph.